Okay. Hello, Valerie and Patrick from Champagne-Souterrain. I guess I should also introduce myself. My name is Meredith Hislop, and I have the pleasure of working with Champagne-Souterrain to develop the United States market, but also several different export markets where we want to give more access to these beautiful champagnes. So that's why we're doing this interview today. So more people can meet Valerie and Patrick and learn about their champagnes and what goes into making such wonderful high quality champagne. So first, I just wanted to have Valerie and Patrick share with us a little bit about the history of Champagne-Souterrain. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how Champagne-Souterrain got started?
Champagne-Souterrain is it's a family company, and my grandfather created this brand in 1950. I arrived in the company in 1989 after my studies. I was in a business school, and when I was young, I decided to work with my parents, because for me it's a passion job. What else? Patrick, my husband, joined us in 1999. First developed the business, but after took over production aspects and the elaboration of wines. What else?
It's a good introduction.
Yeah, that's a lot of how these things work. I mean, a lot of people, they see what their parents are doing, and they think they will enjoy this too, and so they carry on with the business. So you decided you wanted to work with your family after you finished your studies?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And your whole life, you basically grew up with this, I imagine.
Yes.
Tu étais né dedans, comme on dit.
Yes. Qu'est-ce que je peux dire? Je sais pas.
Yeah. Well, tell us. So one thing is that it's always something we try to explain to Americans, and then also, you know, everybody outside of France, is about the classification system, the AOC system, this notion of terroir in France. So one thing that's really special about Champagne-Souterrain is that you're located in Ambonnay. So can you tell us more about, just briefly maybe talk about the AOC Champagne, and then how there's different categories, and then talk about why Ambonnay in Champagne is so unique?
Ambonnay is located in the Montagne de Reims. It's between Reims and Épernay. In Champagne area, you have around 300 villages, and only 17 are classified Grand Cru. The high level of scale is Grand Cru, and after you have the Premier Cru, and you have 48 villages classified Premier Cru.
Premier Cru, okay.
Then the high level is Grand Cru, only 17 villages, and after you have the Premier Cru. And the scale qualifies the quality of the terroir. You have different things. You have the exposure, you have the quality of the soil. What else?
The climate.
And the climate. Just to understand, in Ambonnay, we have the village. The total village represents 400 hectares.
Okay.
And we have only Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
Okay.
just to have an idea, 60% of Pinot Noir.
Yes, a little bit more.
Ah.
80% of Pinot Noir are
And-
planted on the slopes of Ambonnay, and the rest for the Chardonnay.
Okay.
For our vineyard, we have planted a little bit more Chardonnay because we need also Chardonnay for blend for different cuvées.
Mhm.
So for the company, the Chardonnay represents around 45%, and the Pinot Noir the rest.
Okay. And when you look at where your vineyards are situated within Ambonnay, what do you think makes some of your vineyards unique in your portfolio and all the different cuvées that you make?
The important thing is in the terroir, we have some choke,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very important thing because the choke gives a freshness in the grapes
Mm-hmm.
for the Chardonnay and for the Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Then we have a style of champagne very fresh, very elegant, and not too heavy.
Okay.
It's one of the important points, I think, for the quality of the terroir.
Mm-hmm.
And this chalk gives the minerality to the wine.
Okay.
And the salty notes.
The salty notes.
Yes.
Yeah, because Ambonnay is known for having this like special composition of chalk, but clay, and it's a special mixture that allows for better aeration, drainage in the soil, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, you are right.
Okay.
It's correct.
Another thing I wanted to speak with you about is recently in the champagne market, there's really been a strong movement towards what we call grower champagne. Can you explain a bit about the difference between grower champagne and then the other type of champagne that maybe someone will see when they go to a shop? They see a bunch of choices. Yeah.
I think the consumer discover we have two kinds of wine grower in Champagne. You have the small wine grower and you have the brand.
The big company.
The big company. And the style is completely different because the big company produce a big volume come from different parts of Champagne.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more standard style, of course, because they produce a big quantity,
Mm-hmm.
good quality, but big quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find everywhere the brand. And
Mm-hmm.
I think when the consumer try to understand how the champagne works, they discover a small wine grower with a very different style because often we work with one or two villages for the grapes.
Mm-hmm.
And we work small quantity. We work with for some people with how do you say parcellaire?
With unique plots.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the style and the signature is completely different because it's more confidential production.
Right, small.
And you have more complexity. You have more. It's like artisan, if you understand. It's like an artisan.
Yeah, very handcrafted. Every cluster practically is, taken care of. So
Yes.
It's just very minute detail when you're working with that small of a quantity.
Yes, and I think now the professional try to find some small house to be different in their proposition in their shop, because everywhere you can find the brand, but if you decide to work with a small wine grower, you have a unique champagne, because you can't find everywhere this quality of champagne, because we don't produce a million of bottles, we produce a small quantity.
Right.
And I think it's very important for a sommelier, for a wine shop, to be different with this kind of small house.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, because that way also they have a special story to tell the customer. And I think today, for sure, more people are looking for these very unique, handcrafted, small, very high quality driven type of products. Mm-hmm. What do you think, as far as a grower champagne, since Champagne Citron is a grower champagne, how do you define what's your signature as far as being unique in the grower champagne world?
It's a difficult question.
I ask all the difficult questions.
I think it's a combination of different things, because we have an excellent and a very good reputation for our terroir, and it's a lucky thing. We produce a large range with a typical style for each cuvée. I think we can compare as a perfume, because we have the cellar, and we in the tank we have different kind of product of wine, and we take 10% in this tank, 10% in the oak barrel, and we do a blend.
So it gives a complexity to the wine, because yes, I work with oak cask and also with a steel tank. So for one, you have the freshness of the wine. For the cask, we obtain the roundness, the structure, and the complexity. So after we stock also all the wine, the reserve wine, and when we blend all this style of wine, we obtain something very special and very unique, in fact.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that you mentioned to me that when we first started to get to know each other is that you practice really long aging time for your champagnes. Can you explain a bit more about what that means and what is involved? Because that's another component of making very high quality, complex champagne.
So for us, it's important to keep a long time the wine in the cellar, because except for the Cuvée Alexandre, because the aging is 3 years, so it's a good aging for the Premier Cru. But for the other Cuvée, we like to keep the wine for a long period in the cellar, because the aromas are developing by the aging. And if you drink this wine too young, it's like a cheese. If you eat a cheese, a camembert, a French cheese, after 15 days, perhaps it's good, but you have the taste, the good taste. And for the champagne, if you drink it too young, it's the same thing. So we need to wait a long time to obtain the complexity and the very good flavor.
So on average, for like the Cuvée signature, how long do you tend to age the wines that you use in the blend?
For the Cuvée Signature, at the moment, you have in stock in New York the wine from the harvest 2012. So the bottling was done in 2013.
Right.
So it's a very long aging.
6 years.
More than 6 years. Yes.
Yeah. 6 years yeast, and the yeast is very important also to keep the freshness in the wine.
Mm.
If you do the degorgement, you don't have the same evolution in the wine.
Mm.
And with the long aging, we keep also the freshness in the wine. We develop the aromas. We have a very fine bubble, and it's a very important thing also.
Mm-hmm.
And we develop the complexity in the champagne.
Okay. So aging time, yeast, but of course the work in the vineyard to get high quality fruits, and working with all of these components really gives us this exceptional bottle. Is there anything else that you want to add about what goes into making
yes, we can speak about the dosage also.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we have a link with the dosage and with the aging, because with a very long aging, we don't need to add a lot of sugar. We just need to find the good balance between the wine and the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And each year we do some tests with our laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
We give 6 samples of each cuvée, and we do some different level of sugar to find the good blend. And we think it's very important every year to do the same exercise.
Oh, okay.
And for example, we have a very important evolution to decrease the level of sugar since the last 10 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Now we have a very low dosage for all the champagne.
Mm. So that means we give less of a headache, right? No, but so less sugar also allows more of the complexity and the finer aromas to express themselves. So that's a really important commitment.
Yes, and we have more authentic taste, I think, with less sugar. It's more oh, sorry, I don't find the word.
En français, je peux.
Je ne sais pas non plus. C'est plus authentique. It's more authentic.
More authentic. Yes.
Authentic. Yes.
Okay.
And I think now the consumer prefer low dosage. People like the style of a fresh champagne and not too heavy. They need to have a lot of freshness, and it's very important to have less sugar, I think, also.
Right. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a bit about the 2 cuvées that we have in New York.
Yes.
Let's start off with the Cuvée Alexander.
Okay.
What's the name from Cuvée Alexander? What's the history behind the creation of this cuvée?
For the history, we had in the range only Grand Cru. Okay. And we have decided to produce this Premier Cru because we had the vineyards for that. And this cuvée was created in the same time our son was born.
Oh.
And it was easy to find a name. And Cuvée Alexandre was created in 1999.
Okay.
The same year.
And this is the name of our son.
Okay, Alexander. Alexandre.
Yes, Alexandre.
And you have this name everywhere in the world, and people like Cuvée Alexandre. It's easy to remember the name.
So it marks a special celebration in your life, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. That goes with the champagne spirits, right? Celebrate. So this cuvée, from when I've been learning about it, there's only 2 hectares of vineyards associated with this cuvée, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the vineyards come from Chigny-les-Roses, Chamery, and Trépaille. 3 different villages, and we use Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Chardonnay. We use the 3 grapes for this champagne. It's the only champagne where we have Pinot Meunier, because we can use it for Premier Cru, but it's forbidden in the Grand Cru.
In the Grand Cru.
Yes.
And why did you want to create the Premier Cru cuvee to make that a part of your offer, since you mostly just have had Grand Cru?
To have something more simple,
Yeah.
easier to test, a style for everybody.
Okay.
It doesn't mean Grand Cru it's for special people, but it's mean we would like to have something very easy for a lot of events, wedding, birthday, something very easy to drink.
Right.
Fruity, elegant, and.
Do you want to taste this and tell us a bit about the flavor profile of the Cuvée Alexandre?
Yes.
Yeah, so in Champagne, you just have the 3 wine grapes. You have the Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier.
Yes.
And why, so Pinot Meunier, why is it not allowed in the Grand Cru?
It's an historic thing, and people consider that it's not it's something more simple, and for the Grand Cru, it's better to use Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
Okay.
Pinot Meunier, it's grapes who give fruit taste, and give also a quick evolution in the wine.
Okay.
But it's difficult to explain why we don't use it. It's the historic thing.
Yeah.
And they consider it's not enough good for the Grand Cru.
Okay.
But some wine growers work very well the Pinot Meunier.
Yeah.
In other place.
So this is kind of the historic way of doing things. Yeah. If it wasn't 8:30 in the morning here, I would definitely be joining you for a glass.
It's the end of the day in Champagne. It's the end of the day.
Yes. I'll definitely make sure to have some later on.
Then for this quality, you have 40% Pinot Noir, 40% Chardonnay, and 20% Pinot Meunier. And the main harvest is 2016.
16, yes.
16,
okay.
Yes.
One thing I really love is that on the back labels of our wines, you have a lot of information, including the dosage, and yeah, it says it was bottled in April of 2017.
Yes, it's very important, I think, for professional people, for everybody. Because if you need information, if you want to know how we make this champagne, you have the blend, you have the date of bottling, you have the dosage.
Yeah, and the disgorgement.
Minimum information, and people like this kind of information.
Right. Yeah, it gives them a really good idea of how carefully these champagnes have been made. I think that's a really important component here, is really trying to differentiate the difference of a really small lot production, handcrafted champagne. Going back to, this cuvee, there's only 2 hectares. You have what total, if you include these 2 hectares plus 8 hectares in Grand Cru, right? That's very, very limiting compared to how many hectares total in all of Champagne?
33,000 hectares.
Yes.
Yes, 33,000 hectares.
So that's a lot of bottles.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's also important to have the back label because people now want to know what they eat, what they drink, and they have all information, and it's completely, how do you say, transparent?
Yeah, transparent.
Transparent, clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the flavors and aromas that you enjoy in the Cuvée Alexandre.
For this one, you have something very light, very fruity.
It's very fresh in the mouth, very easy to drink, good acidity, and the white fruit aromas like the peaches and
pear, no?
And pear, yes, that's right.
Pear.
And you have a very mineral. You have a lot of minerality. It's not. It's very fresh, very elegant.
How do you get that fine bubble effervescence? That's one thing I've really loved about your champagnes is that the bubbles are just very elegant and they're not, you know, I mean, to take kind of a bad example, but it's not like when you're opening up like a soft drink and the carbonation is just like, you know, very aggressive. And honestly, some champagnes I've had, like I find that the effervescence can just be very aggressive. But I really love how Champagne Souterrain, the effervescence is very, it's well done. The bubbles are fine and it adds to the mouthfeel and experiencing the aromas.
It's very delicate.
Yeah.
It's not too aggressive. Yes, I think.
So what, is that a secret about how you do this, or what's the
It's a secret. It's a secret.
Okay.
We can't tell you everything. It's impossible.
Okay. Well, that's one thing I definitely think really accentuates the nice quality of these champagnes, is that the effervescence is delicate and therefore lets your palate enjoy more of the aromas and accompanies your palate with, you know, the aromas. So
I think Cuvée Alexandre, it's for every occasion. You can drink it with people for aperitif, for an event, I told you, for the wedding, for the birthday, because everybody like this kind of champagne. It's not too difficult. It's not too.
It's very easy to understand.
The style.
It's
the
very
style.
fruity, very with a lot of roundness and freshness also. So it's not necessary to be a professional or
an expert
in wine to understand this champagne.
Yeah, and sometimes it's very good to have something easy and don't think about the complexity of the wine and voilà.
Yeah.
You take place in your living room and you take a glass and
you drink wine glass, 2 glasses
and more
so,
if you want.
And more because it's good and it's simple and good.
I think one of the reasons that I really wanted us to start working with the Cuvée Alexandre in New York is because part of my personal mission is that I really want to help more Americans gain access to really top quality wines and champagne like this, and introduce them to this wonderful world of the grower champagnes, but in a way that is also affordable. I mean, this, of course, champagne in the United States tends to cost, you know, I'd say around $50 or more a bottle. But I really want to help more Americans to get access to these wonderful products for, something that they will try it, and hopefully once they try it, then they'll want to try even some of our more high-end Grand Cru cuvée. So I really think that Cuvée Alexandre is a beautiful example of a grower champagne that hopefully is, that entry point for somebody that's just starting to experiment around with this world of grower champagne. So anyway, so hopefully we'll be able to find more wonderful spots in New York to either have it by the glass, or obviously the shops are really alive right now since most people are buying online, and Vanessa, we can talk a little bit more together. She can tell you some feedback about her experiences selling the champagne at Boutique Wine and Spirits, which is one of our best customers. Let's move on to the next cuvée, La Signature.
Sur des verres.
So the signature cuvée is Grand Cru champagne. So all of the grapes that go into this cuvée are coming from Ambonnay. Okay.
And we decided to use Signature for the name because it's the historic cuvée in the range.
Okay.
My parents already sell this champagne. We change a little bit the style because we would like to add more Chardonnay for this cuvée. But it's the historic cuvée in the range, and it's the main production for all the cuvées.
Okay.
And for this one, 2012 encore.
Yes.
It's
the majority of the wine come from the harvest 2012, and 2012 was a very good harvest. It's, for me, it's one of the best vintage, the best harvest of this decade, and it's a very good wine. It's a very good vintage, yes.
Yeah.
So I use for this cuvée, I use around 60% of the harvest 2012. So it's a very good base, and I remember around 10% in oak barrel. Okay. Oak cask, yes.
Yeah, so that's one thing I noticed in the style of Champagne Souterrain is that the oak aging is really done very minimally. Like you don't really feel the oak in the wines. It's very well done. It's very well integrated, and it's
It's just to give more roundness in the champagne, but not to add some taste.
Right.
Because we would like to keep the identity of our terroir, and we don't want to add some aromas of oak, yes.
Right.
It's just to give roundness.
So the mouth feel a little bit.
Yes, I used all the cask. The average age of this cask is 15, so it's very old.
Yeah.
And because in fact I don't like when the wood is too young, because you obtain the vanilla aromas or coconut, sometimes coconut aromas. So for me, coconut it's very far from the champagne.
Right, of course.
It's not a good aromas for the champagne. This is the reason why I use only old cask, and it gives the structure, the roundness to the wine, the micro-oxygenation, and it's very interesting for that, but not for the exotic aromas of the young wood.
And going back to something you touched on that's very unique to Champagne, so you said that for this bottle, you used about 60% of the 2012 vintage. So that means that you can actually decide to make a blend amongst various different vintages. Is that, and in Champagne, you know, we all know that there's different, a Champagne blend is actually composed of several different vintages of wine.
Yes.
Yes, normally
Yeah.
you have a base of harvest
Mm-hmm.
for all the champagne. We say in Champagne in French, we say brut sans année. It means it's a blend of different years. You have a main harvest and you have a part of reserve wine. And we keep this reserve wine in a steel tank during 4, 5, 6, 10 years. It depends of the house. And it's a very important thing to keep the quality every year and to have the same level of quality every year.
Okay.
Then it depends, the percentage of a reserve wine depends, of course, of the quality of the harvest. And we add the reserve wine to add more acidity, to add more complexity. It depends of the year. But we don't add the same percentage of reserve wine every year. It depends.
Right.
For this one, you have you have a big part of reserve wine. You have 44% of 2011.
Okay. Oh, right. Now I see on this label. Okay. So,
and the majority also, it's Chardonnay. For this cuvée, we would like to have something very fresh, very elegant for the aperitif. Then a few years ago, we have decided to add more Chardonnay in this champagne. Alors, we have also Pinot Noir, of course, and the Pinot Noir gives a structure in this champagne, but we have an important part of Chardonnay to give, again, the minerality in this champagne.
Okay. So amongst the various different cuvées that you produce, because of course there are other ones that we'd like to eventually work with in New York as well, but how does the signature cuvée, what's its defining character for you in amongst the different champagnes that you're producing?
So first of all, it's the best seller of the company. Cuvée Signature is the best seller of the company. For me, it's champagne with a lot of character, but it's very fresh, very easy to drink. For example, in France, we work with a lot of star Michelin restaurants. And the sommelier like this cuvée because it's very easy to serve by the glass, for example, because you have minerality, freshness, and also structure. But it's not heavy champagne. It's like it's fresh, and sommelier like this kind of champagne because it's very easy to serve to the different style of customer. Everybody likes this champagne because you feel something in the palate. You have sensation, but it's not too hard to understand. It's not specific. For example, we produce one cuvée named Perle Noire. It's only Pinot Noir. It's a champagne with a lot of structure. It's a champagne to be pairing with food, with meat. This kind of champagne is very specific. For Cuvée Signature, it's very easy to drink this champagne. It's for every palate, in fact, for everyone.
But with more complexity. Yeah. If you compare Alexandre and Signature, you have more complexity, you have more elegance in this kind of champagne.
And you feel also the minerality. For example, at the beginning, we spoke about the chalk in Ambonnet, and we said that chalk give minerality and freshness and salty notes, and you feel this sensation when you drink this cuvée. Compared to Cuvée Alexandre, for Cuvée Alexandre, the vineyards are on the north of the Montagne de Reims, and it's a soil argilo-calcaire. It's a little bit different. We don't have a lot of chalk, and the style is a little bit different.
Right. Yeah, because it creates different drainage in the soil and different aeration. So this affects how the vines grow and the type of quality, I'm sure. Okay, well, perfect. I have two questions, and then we can stop our interview for today. And hopefully, La Perle Noire is one of my absolute favorite, most exquisite champagne I ever got to try. I hope in the future that we will be able to work with this cuvée in New York too. So thanks for giving us a little teaser to think about for the future. So Champagne Souturon over the years has received a lot of accolades, and I just wanted to know from you personally what you're most proud of as champagne producers.
Yes. For us, we are very proud to work with a lot of great chefs in France and all over the world. We work with a 3-star Michelin restaurant. For example, certainly you know Georges Blanc in France, and Paul Bocuse is died now, but in the past we worked with him. And, Alain Ducasse in the past, we work with Alain Ducasse in the Plaza Athénée, so we are very proud of that, because we are a small company, and for us it's
important to have the recognition.
Yes.
There's a celebrity chef in France. Yeah.
And also we like to go in the restaurant, and we like good food.
Oh, now I see the point.
A good opportunity to go to the high level of restaurant.
Right.
And in the past, we worked with Cuvée Alexandre. We produced the champagne house for Daniel in New York. You know, the restaurant Daniel in New York?
Yes.
And we produced Cuvée Alexandre for him with a special label.
Okay.
So,
for his restaurant.
Of the company, yes.
Well, hopefully we will be able to tell you about all the wonderful restaurants that you can go and enjoy in New York that will be working with your champagne. And then one last question. Where do you see the future of grower champagne going, and the future of Champagne Souturon?
So, for the future, we would like to continue to produce the high quality. We don't want to produce quantity. We are not interested by that. Of course, we can increase a little bit the volume, but it's not our spirit, in fact. And for me, for the future, we would like to increase the quality of the wine. So it's, this is the way that I like to go.
Right. Great. And we get to hopefully continue to enjoy your hard work. Great. Well, I think I would just want to thank you both for taking the time to tell us more about Champagne Souturon and everything you do to make these very special handmade champagnes. I really love working with you and working with the champagnes. It's always a pleasure to get to share something that people really love when they taste it and are pleasantly surprised by how wonderful it is. And we hope to do a good job for you.